Okay. Let it be counterterrorism. Okay, Artemy, can I ask you to start out?
Yes, no problem.
Okay.
Greetings, dear colleagues. My name is Artemy Polikov. I'm a first-year master's degree student at the Faculty of World Politics. During my studies, I have studied the global challenges facing humanity according to the United Nations. One of such challenges is international terrorism. Therefore, today I would like to raise a very important issue related to the fight against international terrorism. The Russian Federation knows firsthand what international terrorism is. The problem of its spread in North Caucasus led to 2 Chechen wars, as well as major terrorist attacks on the territory of the country, including the seizure of a school in Beslan, a maternity hospital in Budyonovsk, a theater on Dubrovka in Moscow, as well as several explosions in the Moscow metro stations. The US has also faced international terrorism. The terrorist attacks of 9/11 became a black page in the history of this state. To prevent the recurrence of such situations, states are actively developing in the sphere of international security. The work of law enforcement agencies is coordinated through a huge number of UN conventions and committees, the purpose of which is such cooperation in the field of anti-terrorist activities and joint efforts to eliminate international terrorism. Over the past 10 years, the threat of international terrorism has only increased. The origins of this round of development of international terrorism were the military conflicts that took place in the Middle East in the last 20 years. In particular, the US invasion of Iraq further provoked the unification of the fleeing Iraq military into ISIS. It is banned on territory of Russian Federation. ISIS has taken over leadership from Al-Qaeda and is an organization of major terrorist attacks all over the world. Only from 2010 to 2020, ISIS organized several major terrorist attacks in Europe, including a terrorist attack on a Russian plane flying from Egypt to St. Petersburg in 2015, October, where 244 people died. Terrorist attacks in Paris in November 2015 also, with a hostage taken at the Bataclan Theater and explosions at the in the Stade de France stadium during a football match. There is also a tendency to increase the terrorist danger in the current situation. In my opinion, we should consider the possibility of increasing the volume of information exchange between the United States and Russia in connection with possible new attacks despite the defeat of ISIS in Syria. Both Russia and the United States are interested in international security, including security in the field of counterterrorism. I think that if joint efforts are made to counter terrorism, it will be much more effective to track the roots of the spread of terrorism, to find out how this or that person entered the territory of the state before committing a terroristic attack, where the materials came from, who sponsored his activities. These tracks are strategically important data for future counteraction to intruders. The exchange of such data will not only increase the area of possible surveillance of suspected terrorists, but also increase the effectiveness of preventive measures taken to identify terroristic cells. It is obvious that the exchange of experience in countering terrorism between the security services of the countries will have a positive impact on the effectiveness of their activities and will save the lives of many innocent people. I wish we all could have more opportunity to listen to each other, and what's more important, to hear each other. Thank you for your attention, dear colleagues.
Okay.
Absolutely. First of all, I wanted to greet everyone and thank everyone, especially Mike, for putting his Russian name and caption. That really does put a smile on my face. And anyway, I'm a student of the Faculty of World Politics. My name is Vladislav, finishing my bachelor's degree in regional studies, as pretty much everyone else here from our part. To elaborate further on what Nikita has already said regarding non-proliferation, I would like to know that for a long time, the Iranian nuclear deal has been an essential element of the nuclear non-proliferation system. However, due to the current state of world affairs, the adoption of this agreement appears to be on the verge of irrevocable collapse. And I believe that working together within the framework of of the Iranian nuclear deal is an absolute necessity for both countries now. A good example of a similar case would be the time during the Afghan War from 1979 to 1989, when relations between the United States and the USSR were particularly tense. The United States at that time were helping the Mujahideen by supplying them with Stingers and high-tech military equipment. But despite this, in 1987, our countries managed to come to an adoption of the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. For me, this clearly shows that despite all the difficulties, all the inconsistencies of the US-Russia relations, nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament is an important issue for both countries, and they are ready to make concessions. In my opinion, the United States and Russia are able and must increase cooperation on extremely controversial issues, such as nuclear non-proliferation. I would also like to emphasize on the fact that this is one of the few areas in which the national interests of the United States and Russia do not contradict each other. This is crucial because, as a rule, the only basis for strong relations between the two countries in international politics is the overlap of their national interests. I hope that GCPOA is a success, and Russia and the United States could eventually organize comprehensive talks on maybe bringing Israel to join the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or at least declare their nuclear arsenal. Non-proliferation of nuclear weapons will strengthen not only bilateral relations between the United States and Russia, but also global political and economic security. And to conclude, I wanted to say that big things have small beginnings. So I, being fully supportive of Nikita's idea to create some sort of a student project, joint student project, hope that this small thing, this small project could eventually become a fruitful cooperation, and that could change our world for the better. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you to both of you. And I would note that despite the fact that the current situation seems almost completely conflictual, I've been pleased to see that there has been nuclear restraint on both sides. And I think that that has been really important, that we not lose track of that. And that there was a brief period of time when the JCPOA return negotiations, when Russia was trying to link the two things together. I was very glad when Russia stepped down from that position, because I think it wasn't helpful for anybody's regards. But I do think that it's very important to try to figure out how to keep.
I'm happy that they have their own ideas. And finally, I think there is a misperception in America today that people in Russia nowadays are not permitted to think freely. I think, well, our meeting today demonstrated that you cannot control and suppress people's thinking if it's an educated thinking, and also if it's committed to finding true solutions to the problems